Wow, this is a nice panel. What is it? It's thing for rents? Holy shit, what was that? Mike, I just saw you!
Confessions number 30. Welcome to the Bastards Council.
Fucking welcome to the Bastards Council.
Oh,
God damn it! Yeah, 30.
So Armin's not
30.
here.
Armin's not here. We got fucking Mike, who's got some
Fucking
crazy shit
fucking
to
Mike.
talk to you about this week, and I don't even know why we're doing
We
this.
are going to talk.
For the fuck of it, man.
So I guess we're gonna talk about UFOs for a little bit and see where it goes from there.
I like to
Yeah.
Or
call
maybe
them.
we'll talk the whole thing.
I really like to call them UFOs.
How about
UFOs of the world.
UFOs?
Yeah, UFOs.
I actually had an English teacher in high school that actually called them UFOs. And I was like, UFOs? And he's like, yes, UFOs. I was like, all right.
All right, why not?
Unidentified foreign orgies. I love it.
I never understood my English teacher in a way, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I can just.
I can tell. I can tell.
Ivy's just sitting there like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Where's the math?
It was one year in Sec 3. They misplaced me in like they were supposed to put me in like
Man, the image that just came in my head.
They were supposed to put me in a class with where everyone else spoke English, so it was going to be harder and everything. Instead, for the first couple of days, I was there in the class where no one spoke English, and I'm just there. And the teacher, he would make some jokes to the students' face, and then after that, he would look at me. And I would start laughing because they didn't understand a word he was saying.
My God, when you said they
gold,
misplaced me, all I pictured was you in like some dungeon in a school. Like, what's going on?
Guys,
The broom closet,
Yeah.
where the janitor dwells.
Like Bastion in the Neverending Story. You know?
Oh man! All right, so UFOs,
UFOs.
Mike.
Yeah,
Introduce
UFOs.
Introduce
Um,
Tell
yourself.
us about
My name is Mike.
What do you do, Mike?
What do I do?
Yeah, what do you do?
I work in IT, and I sing in a heavy metal band with the guy who I'm replacing tonight
Satan
since
worshiper.
the year
right.
2000.
It's right. He is the singer of Ashes of Eden, Armin's fucking band.
I am.
Armin's fucking bad.
Splashes of semen.
That's right.
So-
That's right. Asses of Sweden.
Nice.
Yes.
I like splashes of semen.
That, yeah, I bet you do. So yeah.
that.
I don't know. These guys asked me to come up with a topic. I decided, well, you know what?
Well, you're a very
Since I
creative
was a really young kid, I remember living in Park Extension in Montreal, in Greektown, and remember seeing something on the television, and it was I'm not sure if it was a news report or if it was a some kind of documentary, like a 2020 kind of thing, but that face, you know, the face of the gray with the black almond-shaped eyes.
Right.
And I remember, and I must have been probably 7 years old, because this is before I moved out to the West Island, and it freaked me the fuck out, man. Like, I had nightmares that night, you know, like really bad. And I remember waking up and thinking that there was some gray right beside my fucking bed. Wow. So ever since then, at a very young age, I became kind of intrigued by it, because I'm the kind of person that, you know, I guess faces the fears, because I've always been a horror movie fan from a very young age too. So like that kind of stuff always intrigued me. So I remember getting a book when I was a kid, like way before high school, that was all about UFOs and UFO abductions, and, you know, the Roswell crash, Area 51. There was another famous abduction, I believe, in the 40s, Barney and Betty something or other.
That was that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was also the Aztec incident.
Yeah.
That's the purple alien, right?
The purple alien?
Purple alien.
You talking about Barney?
Yeah.
No.
Hey, hold on. He's a dinosaur.
It's interesting. It was similar for me. It was Unsolved Mysteries,
Fucking
and
love
that
Unsolved
freaked
Mysteries.
me out. And since then, I was like very much into
So wait,
UFOs.
I'd like you to continue this, but were you all as a kid? I fucking loved horror shit. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
Me too.
Like 10 years old, I started like right away.
And I think my first horror movie was Fright Night, and I think what kept me watching it was that my sister was afraid, and I was like, "This is not scary," you know. But
I totally was never. I loved fucking Unsolved Mystery. Everything about
me
it was
too.
like so fucking cool.
Oh, it was great,
Yeah.
man.
I kept thinking when I was a kid, like, I gotta grow up and not be these guys. That's all. That can't be.
TV
Yeah.
show in French was called Dossier Mystère.
Yeah.
And I remember just going to bed all the time, just thinking about what I saw.
Like
I was
the ghosts
fuck, man. I was
sometimes,
Jesus
yeah.
Like,
Christ, man.
like
You
Robert
imagine shit,
Stack,
man.
like he was an intimidating person to a lot of people.
He's got
To me, I was
haunting
like,
voice.
He's like, this guy is cool. Like, I want to be like that guy. Get a trench coat and be like, on the next episode of unsolved, like
May 19th.
May 19th,
So
1979.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, from there, I just kind of never lost the intrigue, I suppose. I've always read about this stuff, but that's not to say that I necessarily believe it. I think there's a lot of evidence, but it's mostly shaky cameras and people who are saying things, just word of mouth and eyewitness stuff that is completely, on a scientific level, completely unreliable. Now, I don't necessarily believe that aliens have visited us because, like, just the vastness of space is so huge that they would need to be so advanced to be able to travel at and basically warp space-time. Because if you're going to be traveling at light speed, which is physically, in physics, like the fastest that we know how to go, the speed of light, I think with the Kepler Space Telescope has been, looking for transits, which is a slight dip in a sun or a distant star's light. So it looks for what it is, it's a telescope in space. So it looks for a transit, which is dips in light.
Dips in luminance when like planets or asteroids come in front.
Exactly.
That's the only way that we can identify
So
other planets.
we've identified other planets, but we really know nothing about them. We know nothing about their
It's a lot of
their
theories.
atmospheres.
Yeah.
We can basically say, okay, Earth is in this habitable zone where water won't freeze, and the basis of life as we know it is water. So
Well, they also say anything liquid, so it could be methane as well. That could be the basis.
I suppose, because there are deep dwelling stuff even on Earth that don't rely on oxygen. They're living on like hydrothermal vents, like these worms and stuff like that. But anyways, that's beyond the point. But what I'm saying is, you would have to be so freaking advanced as a civilization, and I'm wondering if an intelligent race could actually evolve to that point without destroying themselves.
So that you bring up, you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
You bring up 4 points that I know quite a lot about, and I'm in your camp. That I in my head it's it's not physically impossible. It's just not at all logical for aliens to come and visit Earth. Your first point about the going faster than light and everything. You can't, physically impossible to go the speed of light because it has to be massless. You can warp space. That has been proven, but they don't know how to do it. You can do that. Your point about the, what was your last point again?
Oh, well, the fact that, like, I think that if you look at the human race as a race
so you
and
have the
how
Fermi
destructive we are.
Your last point was about destroying yourself, the Fermi paradox.
That's
That is
it.
a thing. Like, how come we're not seeing all of them? It's probably because we get to a certain point, a filter, where we all just kill ourselves after a certain intelligence.
Yeah.
Well,
Or something cosmic kills a planet
but
before
you see, you can also say, like, one of the reasons why we're destructive is it's only been really in the last 150 years. Let's say 100 years, even if you want to go.
Well,
no, I'm not talking about the way we are at war with each other. I'm talking about the main reason is because of the invention of currency. Because if we didn't, okay, and this is a whole other topic, which I don't, for another podcast, I don't want to get into that. But if you think about it, everything is because all our destructive behavior is because of currency. If we
and
didn't have
power,
currency,
resources,
and land and
yeah.
resources.
But like to argue your point, like, why is it hard to believe that there could be another race?
More advanced?
I believe
this is my point to this, man, guys. You know, like we talk about how we're like killing ourselves, destroying shit, but like the universe, it's so fucking big, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
vast.
it's limitless apparently. Just in the last 100 years, look how much we evolved. Like for us to get maybe to travel in space, maybe 2,000 years. So what's stopping us from believing that there's not another planet?
We're not
debating that they don't exist.
But what it's telling us, what it's not making us believe that maybe there is another planet so far away that they discovered that shit already.
But
they
Ivy,
could do it.
the thing isn't that we don't believe aliens don't exist.
Oh,
we just don't
definitely.
believe that they don't come because it's mathematically impossible that other species aren't existing somewhere in space. It's mathematically impossible.
The Roswell incident. Okay,
Yeah.
this is one of the most well documented.
And there's a lot of information about
but
it.
there's also enough evidence to say that there's just not enough evidence to prove it, which that's what makes a conspiracy theory.
But here's the thing with Roswell. A lot of it was based off of a lot of eyewitness testimony that came after the fact, weeks and months later.
Okay. June 16th, I believe, 1947 is I believe when it happened, or 17, one of those. And the guy that discovered him in his I guess farming field or whatever it was calls the cops, but the military shows up. Now they came there, everything was like they took everything, and the media, everybody was saying it was like, even the everybody was saying it was UFOs. The military retracts their statement 2 or 3 days later and says it was a weather balloon.
Okay, but a UFO
a weather balloon
is an unidentified flying object if you don't know what it is.
But the military claimed it was this after the fact.
Yeah, at first, that's true. They did put out a statement saying that it was a crashed UFO, but you have to look at the times. That was, what, 1949?
Okay, but
Seven.
But
So this was right after World War II.
UFO doesn't mean alien. It means unidentified
Yes,
flying
but
object, which is what it was.
There was also claims of bodies that were there, 3 bodies.
But what are we talking about here? Like, we're talking about aliens, right?
And their,
Yeah.
and their explanation for the bodies looking different was that it was radiation. But radiation cannot change one's appearance to have a bigger head.
No, absolutely not. You'll get welts and boils and stuff.
What I think here is what's happening is I'm going to explain why that could never have been aliens. And then I'm going to say why I think that those stories occurred.
But there's other things. If you look at facts, the CIA was invented later that year.
That doesn't
the
prove
Majestic
anything.
13.
That's just other things that came about after, but that doesn't mean it was aliens.
But there's actual the government always denied the MJ files existed. Okay, or the MJ13.
Okay, but stuff is confidential, and years later they make it.
But there has been, they found other documents that were totally unrelated to UFOs that ended up referring to these, and now they're blacked out when you request these.
Now, yes, they're redacted. So I'm going to explain why aliens can never come, and then I'm going to explain how these stories came about.
So you're gonna base this on, you think they can never come?
No, I'm not saying that they can never come.
Okay.
I'm just saying why it wasn't.
Why you don't think they have?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, one, if an alien species is able to warp space-time and travel great long distances, why the fuck would they come here?
That's true, because when you think about it, we're a tiny little speck on a
Tiny little
universal.
speck, and we're not even. It's like you.
Even in the galaxy, we're
exploration
like
for
nothing.
what? There's so much other.
They
stuff.
have map to updates, man. I mean,
It's like you.
It's in the map.
It's like you going to Africa specifically to look at one fucking anthill.
But that's what people do.
that.
No, she doesn't go and look at anthills. She goes to look at all of them and not one specific one, and then stops there and studies it.
She was looking at specific place. She went to Australia to look at a specific species of ants and see how they live.
Yeah.
What's the same?
Aliens could do that
to us?
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
But why us?
Why not us? Like,
We're just one of many.
If they could do that, they didn't have to land there, right?
Who says they wanted to land? They crashed.
So they can traverse space, great fucking distances with all this technology, and then they can't fucking deal with it.
Anything can happen.
Look at what we do. We try to launch shit and it explodes and we die. The same thing can happen to them,
as
man.
far
That's
as
combustion.
we've ever gone.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
I don't think a UFO would use combustion.
Yeah.
Listen. As much as we've evolved to the point, like, we have airplanes that fly every day, thousands of airplanes daily. But every now and then there's a mishap.
Okay, but
who's to say? Like, why would they be perfect?
You're right, but it's not about it's an intelligent race, an advanced
advanced
race
enough to warp space.
And even if you do warp space, you're still gonna have to spend some time in there, right? You're gonna have to plan. Just us being humans, we know you're gonna have to plan.
But things
if you're
go
going
wrong.
to another planet, you will plan for everything like they do now.
But things still go wrong.
And even if things go wrong, I guarantee you they wouldn't be dead lying on the ground, and it would just be this little fucking thing. You would know about it. It's not that it wouldn't be this tiny little ship in space.
But I think what he's saying is that the government doesn't want the populace to know about it.
I would agree with that. They would.
Why?
But what I'm trying to say is, it would just never. It wouldn't happen. And why do I think these stories come out? Because it's like how every guy says they sleep with more girls and every girl said they sleep with less guys than they actually did. It's mathematically impossible that all these guys sleep with more girls than there are, and all these girls didn't sleep with all those guys. There's something going wrong here.
I know what guys and girls you're talking to, but we don't have those kinds of conversations in civilized society.
I like those UFO things, like the Roswell and all of that. Like, I'm not convinced these things are real. Actually happens. I mean, I think they did an operation on one alien. I think that was all fake. You know?
The alien autopsy. All
But
fake.
that being said, I think they exist. And I think that the few times they came on Earth, it was other little things, but we're using those bigger story just to hide it and not to make it real. You know, like
So-
they hide like they hide like 1 million thing to make sure that one thing that we know it's
Yeah.
hidden and never thought.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
that's
But
another thing.
another thing is all the stories of aliens. Every description of them is all humanoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That doesn't make any sense. We developed on this planet to be like this. That
Okay.
It's incredibly difficult and almost mathematically impossible that they would develop at the same look, 2 arms on each side, 2 eyes on each head. Yeah, they may have a different proportional body limbs and stuff, but they look pretty much just like us, just more distorted than us. That it's just not doesn't make any sense.
weaker versions.
Yeah, that's
actually.
human.
But then there's a theory that they are evolved humans from the future.
Yeah.
There could be that.
I've heard of
but,
that.
But that, I
theory
think that's
also.
just trying to fit the theory of why are they humanoid, because we still don't understand life. We only understand life on this planet, and we're still learning new things. Like when
Yeah.
you said at the bottom, like when they dug the 12-kilometer hole, they found bacteria and stuff down there that they've never seen before.
In Antarctica, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I lost my train. Oh yeah, no. Well, like, look, okay. There's NASA lately. The last couple of years has been finding all sorts of planets
Yeah.
that look like ours.
Yeah.
Okay, more than they did
Thousands.
in the past. There's lots, and they keep stating there's possibility of life here. There's possibility of this, and they keep stating this. I
But
feel
they're
like
only basing that
but
on-
I feel like they're warming us up to the fact that they will eventually let something out.
But
I don't know about that.
I don't know if you heard recently about Anonymous, the hacker group.
Yeah, they said that they're gonna tell us.
They said that they found files at NASA that NASA's planning on releasing some info about alien life.
Well, even some well-known astronauts have gone on record, on camera, and said they saw some weird shit.
Yeah, that's
So-
another thing. There's even former government officials that, you know, and that's another thing. They did this majestic 12 or 13 files. There was new releases in the 80s, but then they realized that this is probably a hoax. They've released misinformation as well on purpose, because the more misinformation there is, like you were saying, it hides what the real information is.
Well, I understand that there's skewed information. The government's not going to give us everything. I totally get
don't
that.
want us to
However,
know
I don't
that.
think that they need to warm us up to the fact that there is alien life.
They don't want us to
Not
know,
at this
man,
point, because
for
I think
sure,
we're
man.
all.
They don't want
I mean,
We're
any
aware of
rational
it.
person should be under the assumption that there is definitely
Yeah.
alien life. Whether or not it is visiting this planet, that's what I'm kind of. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, me
there's
too.
there's other theories too, and there's like if you believe on different dimensions.
I do,
interdimensional
Like,
stuff,
what
yeah,
if
yeah.
what if they're also able to travel interdimensionally, and let's say they're right here, we just don't see them right now
Because we don't perceive anything past the third dimension with
Right,
our
exactly.
own eyes.
So, I mean,
That's a great
there's
fucking point, man.
there's
That is
this
amazing.
theory also, because like if we want to segue into another topic like shadow people, I don't know if you guys know
What
about
is
that.
shadow people?
Well, we could get into that.
We're not talking about ghosts, are we?
Well, yes and no.
I wouldn't really call it ghosts, but I understand if you're going
But-
with the fourth dimension type of thing. That is a fucking
But-
beautiful point. He does have a point.
But
But the fourth dimension is time. How could anything exist
when
in time?
No,
Might
that's
not
what they
be time.
call it right now.
Yeah.
Because there's mathematical drawings of a fourth dimensional object that we can't perceive because it's in a 2D, 3D plane.
Yeah.
So, but it is technically fourth dimensional.
Tell us
fuck,
about
what was
it.
I gonna say?
Shadow people.
But before we go into that, so the life on other planets.
Definitely.
Oh, 100%. No argument. There's definitely life on other planets.
Okay, now there's presidents that have stated, one of them even on camera.
what? You know
Jimmy
what?
Carter.
Fair
Jimmy
enough.
Carter.
I hope
Yeah.
you don't bring up
Jimmy
Reagan.
Carter, yeah.
No, I'm not gonna bring up Reagan.
You know what? With Trump in office, I guarantee you, if there were alien life there, you would tell everybody.
maybe they decided we're not gonna tell him.
Oh, come
He would
on.
probably string together a bunch of words that don't really make sense and go off on a tangent about,
If someone even
Miss America
hinted
pageant.
at it, if someone in the government even hinted at it, no, he would have been like, just found out there were aliens.
Tweet about it.
George Bush Senior, not his son, Senior.
Yeah.
Was asked straight up by straight up. But I think it was Jimmy Kimmel actually, because this was more recent, and about extraterrestrials or UFOs, have they been here and all that, and he became very put on the spot didn't laugh and say, "Oh, come on, that's you know." He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it either. He just
You know what I like to think? I like to think because everyone like is so not even just aliens or whatever, just conspiracy theories about the government. Hold on. That the government's hiding this from us. They don't want you to know it because it's going to cause mass hysteria. But I also know that the government isn't like 100% stupid, and they might just put those things out there so that you clamor to this fucking little topic and like they're hiding this from us while doing other shady shit.
Well, yeah, there's that
like
too.
I was saying before, like anyways, like about aliens and like what I think it's funny, like we all have HD cameras in our pocket now.
Yeah.
Everything we see, it's fucking shaky.
You're right.
It's fucking shaky
Everything's
camera.
potato
But how
quality.
come ever since we have HD videos, there's
not
nothing
more
clear,
clear. Yeah, I mean,
every
that's
fucking
true.
things you see, man. What the fuck those guys are on? It's like
You can
look,
Snapchat a
they're
girl's
like-
ass from 500 yards
Exactly.
away, perfectly still, but you can't
Exactly.
catch an alien like me.
Exactly.
exactly. It's like, come on, man.
I don't believe in most of those shaky cams.
Yeah, me neither, man. Of
And a
course.
lot
But then there's this dude. There's this thing on Netflix right now. It's called Extraordinary. I think anybody who's interested at all in this topic should watch it. It's about this dude who, Stan Romanek, who's talking about his experiences and being abducted. And there's some video on there that like just looks so faked. And I want to believe it, but I think it comes down to the human need to believe something is greater than themselves, and I think that's at the core of when we look up at the sky. We're not used to looking up at the sky. I am, because ever since I was a kid and I saw that freaking gray alien drawing on the news, I've been looking at the sky.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I think it comes down to people just having this need to feel like they like to put something in perspective and to feel like there's something bigger than them. If that's not God, then it's aliens.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Listen, man,
And so, like when you're looking up at the sky and you see something, and it's called a UFO, unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I've seen UFOs. And my first inclination, because I've been so indoctrinated into this and I've been so reading about it and everything, that it's such a part of my psyche. At this point, my initial reaction is aliens. But
Mike, let's be
but
honest here, man.
I don't. And then I start to think. I'm like, no. It's got to be this. It's got to be something else. I start to rationalize it, and then I forget about it. I'm going to tell you about something that happened about 3 years ago. I was working on the 15th floor of an office building. I think it's the last tallest office building on René Lévesque, at Guy and René Lévesque. So I have a good view of like the mountain and the general hospital there. And it's right near Concordia University. So I'm looking out the window because I have a window seat, and I'm looking out and I see this weird thing. It's bronze colored with kind of orangey gold light and red light. It's round, and it's kind of got the colors of like the Concordia emblem. So I'm like, it's got to be a drone, right? And it's big. It's kind of round. It doesn't look like it's got propellers like a typical drone. So I'm looking at it and whatever. And it's not moving, so yeah, it's got to be a drone, right? Concordia, those geeks are,
controlling
playing something. And then it starts to move, and and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I'm not going to take any calls. What the hell's that thing doing? So eventually I'm looking at it for like 5 minutes, and it's just gone. Like not fast, but it's gone. Like as far as I can see, and it was a clear day. So it moves off to the northeast, like way past the mountain until it's just this tiny little speck and it's gone. I'm like, do the Concordia kids really have remote controls that can go that far? That's like government shit. So like I wondered to myself, I'm like, what did I see?
Yeah.
It is a UFO. Is it
exactly.
alien?
We don't.
I have
probably not.
no clue,
That's-
but I've definitely seen a UFO.
But Mike,
I
if
didn't
there's
want to say
if there's two people in this room that can say that we saw UFOs
Together?
it's you and I, man.
Yes.
I've seen something very similar.
Like
to
just
mine.
let me tell you about this story. Like I don't like almost 20 years ago, right?
No, it was
maybe 15
maybe
or-
early 2000s.
Yeah,
I think, like maybe
okay.
2000, 2001, something like that.
Yeah. So me and Mike, man, we're having fun, man, downtown, whatever. Like we were like just enjoying the night. At one point, we look at the sky and we see those three things flying in the sky. A little bit like he described, like the drone that went super quick, right? So we see these things, and then they just disappeared.
Yep.
I'm telling you, at that moment,
They were white and they were triangular
yeah,
shaped.
me and Mike, we look at ourselves at this point. We had tears, man. You know?
Drunk
Yeah,
and
really.
or high.
No, man. We were just having fun, right?
I think someone spiked your drink.
But at that moment,
No, but
man,
seriously, we both saw the same thing.
yeah, we started saying we were like really amazed by this. I don't know what it was. Maybe there were birds.
You fucking guys
With
were
lights.
circle jerking.
With
Maybe
lights,
there
yeah.
were lights, but I mean,
No, but they were
I
triangular.
can still-
and they moved quite quickly with no noise.
I can
And-
still cannot explain what it was.
No.
And you know what? About I think it was I don't know if it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So I work on the other side of the mountain.
Yeah.
Like well, sort of on the other side, like Côte de Neige basically. And I remember being at work, and my friend comes and he's like, "What is that?" Like we're looking out the window, 4th floor, and we saw something that was like just hovering, and it was like dusk. So it was kind of light, kind of dark, and we saw like with the lights, and it just kept moving, and there was like no sound, but it was pretty low, and it just went, as like you said, far until you just couldn't see it anymore.
That was really strange, but because like, how can you make a drone that's like very spherical, but still has like some kind of outcropping? It may not have been a drone, but why was it?
Like, if
it looked like a
make
drone.
sound, no matter what, if you're in our atmosphere, it'll make sense.
Well, I couldn't have told because I was in a building.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
me
You,
too,
yeah.
but
Fair enough. If it's near the mountain, I think there's something near the mountain that's causing that, like
but
fucking a light or something.
This was before the mountain, though. This was like near the
like-
general hospital
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. But like, some
in
people,
the
like,
in the area.
it just doesn't.
Right.
My first intention is like, it's fucking aliens are visiting this fucking street. Oh my god. You know, I mean,
That's a bit what Mike says. You know,
it's
like
fun to
at
carry.
first this is what we believe. Then after we get,
you
it was
see
not
strange
that.
things.
But I think we want to
I'm not
believe
saying
them,
strange things that don't occur.
Yeah. Right.
I'm just saying they're unexplained.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That shouldn't always mean that. And before we go on, I
Shadow people.
a lot of these stories I think are kind of like the description of the virgin birth. And it was this guy was saying this probably came about, this story probably came about because this girl got fucking pregnant. She slept with another guy, and she made up a story so that she wouldn't get in trouble.
I actually believe that. Yeah.
And
That-
it makes
yeah.
sense. And I think a lot of these alien stories were people doing
Well, because
something
at
they
the
fucking
time, unwed
Yeah.
mothers.
Exactly. You get stoned to death, right?
Yeah.
And I think now, it's like the 50s, 60s, 70s, someone was doing something they shouldn't have been. So they made up a fucking story. Yeah, they look like the crazies, but they wouldn't be in real trouble. They just called this guy a lunatic. And I think people who spend their whole lives, you know, just investigating and trying to get the truth from the government are just wasting their
Yeah,
fucking time.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what'll happen if the government just comes out and says, yeah, we're totally lying to you all the time. Yes, I've been vindicated. You see, I was right. So
Yeah, but what do these people have to gain?
What do you
They're
have to gain?
Well, no, but really, also at the same time, what do they have to gain? They're not making money, really. They're,
actually, there are a lot who run websites, run ads, who do make money off of it by informing people. Like you're not getting the real truth here. They're trying to sell the truth to people.
I do believe.
Well,
there
yeah,
is
but
a
people
lot
have been trying to sell the truth to other people for
I
thousands
know
of years.
that. I'm not saying, like I said, there are definitely strange things that occur, and there's obviously forums to discuss that. But I don't think it should just be like it's fucking aliens or it's ghosts or whatever. Because I've
Yeah.
seen shots of people going. It's an actual photo. It's not Photoshop. There's a light right there. I guarantee you that's a UFO. And then when they actually analyze
Phoenix
it,
lights, that
it's-
was kinda weird.
It's a fucking stop sign that's glaring with a flash.
So
Yeah, man. We need some HD footage. That's all I have to say.
So like we were saying about
K.
another dimension and the shadow people. So it's a lot of people have, you know, and this is actually even throughout time. So because also there's another theory that aliens have been coming here for a very long time.
Yeah, they find
Ancient aliens.
Yeah. So anyway, so shadow people
Wait,
are.
wait.
Oh yeah,
wait,
put the
wait,
hair up.
wait.
No, Ivy can do it.
doing?
Put your hair up, man.
Why?
Wait, just wait,
Aliens.
just wait. Aliens.
Well, there are some weird things like the
so-
Nazca lines and
So,
stuff like
so,
that.
so what these shadow people are is they generally appear in very dim light, and they're apparently pretty quick because you usually see them on your peripheral vision, and when you look, they're gone. But there have been cases where people have claimed to have also seen them staring at them, and they all report the same type of figures.
Fuck, I'm not sleeping.
Are they in bed when this happens? Mostly.
Well,
Whether
Patent pen.
they could be bed, it could be in the woods. It's generally in low lighting. So like you could be, let's say, on the computer in a dark room, and sometimes people will be like, "It feels like someone's in this room," you know?
Oh yeah, but
Turn around.
like a feeling of a sense of foreboding is not really evidence.
Yeah, I know, but what the theory is? I mean, there's multiple theories on what these shadow people are, and there's one theory that it's aliens that are projecting, instead of them coming down here, they're projecting something, I guess, from the astral plane, if you will, down to us to observe us, because a lot of times they say that they're just here observing us. Like, why would they just be there observing? And the fact that in the lower dim light we're able to see them. So I don't know. That's one.
That's actually one thing that I believe is probably more real than aliens coming to visit us. Why? Because this was a great Carl Sagan explanation of dimensions, right? You have the one dimension, the first, which is the dot, right? And then you have the second, 2D, second dimension, which is a line.
You have this.
And then he was saying, like, if you were a 2D character, like I drew the stick figure right here. This is a 2D character. If a 3D object was to just like hover over, you can watch it. They have no concept of height, right? So they know left, right, up, down, but no height. So they just strolling along through life. And let's just say you're this guy, and you just decide to visit the fucking second dimension. He would only see the bottom end of it.
Right. It's true. That's another thing that we say. A lot of people say that these shadow people, they always look like they're flat when they see
that
them.
wouldn't really make sense for us. We should be able to see them as real people, and you don't perceive anything in 3D. You perceive things in 2D.
2D.
Why? Because you can't see the back of the camera. You can only see flat. It is a 3D-dimensional object, but you don't perceive it as 3D.
Another reason why we only see these things in low light, our retina is made up of rods and cones. The cones is what is in the center of the retina, and this is what sees colors and detail. Whereas the rods is our peripheral vision and our night vision. And that's why we don't see colors as well and everything. So and we don't see detail as well at night. So our rods that are on the extremities of our retina is probably why we tend to catch certain things at night. Because it's our night vision. Because
of this whole like 2D, 3D thing, if this beer bottle, this Jono over here was to go and say hi and explain to them, well, I'm not actually in your dimension, they wouldn't really be able to understand. Like, what do you mean? And then you take this piece of paper and you just fly it like that. This little fucking stick guy
doesn't feel it.
No, he wouldn't be able to explain it. He would feel it. He's just like, what the fuck is happening? I don't get it. And then if you land, he tells his other stick figure friends, dude, I just went through this thing. Well, what was it? I don't know.
You're on acid.
While I don't believe that shadow people exist, I do believe it is a much more logical explanation. Like, it's actually something that could be real, just because they have proven that there could be up to 11 dimensions.
Right.
Physically, in physics, there's 11 dimensions, because after the 11th, it starts collapsing in on itself. And they've drawn up things to explain. So if you have 3D, you have 8 points, right? If you have now you multiply that. So if you have 40, it's 16 points, and it keeps going up and growing up and growing up. And now we can't perceive that because we're already seeing 2D. We're in 3D, so it's really hard to visualize something that's twice that amount.
As a baby, apparently babies, when they're like before they start talking, when they see a person go behind a wall or whatever. This is like
I think it doesn't exist anymore.
They to them it's the thing or the moving object is merging with the wall, let's say. And so with them discovering and discovering what gravity is and grabbing
perception,
perception, then they start realizing, oh, there's something in the front and something way in the back. But we know this. It seems weird, but it's something we just learned.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, because blind people who learn to see later, because they have done that where they put cameras in and put antennas to the brain. They have a hard time doing their normal functions like walking or everything, because now they need depth perception to be able to do it.
Yeah, and because they're learning what they would normally learn as a little baby.
Exactly.
And the brain makes all kinds of connections in early life.
Exactly. So like this guy was explaining how he was able to walk no problem without a cane. People felt sorry for him. He's like, I had no problem with it. And then he got eyesight, so like now no one had sympathy for him. Oh, you could see now. But like just a curb to his brain, it was straight. It didn't drop down. That's depth perception that we develop as children. Yeah. So imagine trying. We have to learn depth perception as humans. Imagine trying to depth perception in a different dimension.
Yeah, man, I have a hard time believing it. I believe in aliens more than multiple.
Oh no,
dimensions,
aliens
man.
exist. Do I believe they went to Earth? Hell no. Do I believe there's a different
I don't
dimension?
know. I just
Yes,
believe
sir.
that when people
I believe
see
there's a-
shadow people, I think it's just in their head, man. I mean,
Oh,
there's
I mean, it could be
possible.
that too.
I think
right?
aliens,
man,
people
there's so
seeing
many
aliens
things
in the
I saw,
sky,
man.
and I was abducted, and they probed my ass.
exactly, you know. So
I think it was a guy who had a fucking eyes wide shut night. Pick up the ass, went home. Where were you? You'll never believe. You'll never believe what happened. I can't tell you the story.
But when did this whole like almond-shaped big head, almond-shaped eyes, big head thing start?
About the 50s.
Yeah,
About
that.
the 50s.
Well, yeah, but who came up with that first thing? Who was?
I think it might have been way before that.
No, because I
mean,
think
well,
I
there,
really
there was a
think it
cave drawing, I think, in Arizona,
Yeah.
from like prehistoric natives,
heard about that.
where it looks very much like that, like a very almond-shaped head, almond-shaped eyes.
But here's the thing, Asians could look like that too.
well, the only thing
not
is like
big.
people have been creating stories ever since the beginning.
Yeah.
of time,
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's
People
so
create
many
stories
things that are
to
written on
explain
walls that
what's
we
around
can
them.
all relate to
Isn't-
something that was written. at
Drawing
one
something
point, no?
different than what's in reality has been
Yo,
going on
dude,
forever.
yes, we
what
get
we're
that.
drawing today, imagine people in 1,000 years, they think like us, they're gonna take her drawing and say, oh shit, man, this maybe exists. You know?
I mean, stick
Same thing.
figures. Draw a stick figure. Eventually, you'll draw an alien-looking thing.
Yeah,
Hey,
I guess so.
how do you think that started?
I mean, to me, in 1,000 years, someone analyzes that must be fucking aliens.
It's real, man. It's real.
I don't think that drawings are anything like that, especially since it's always the same. Like it's humanoid.
Drawing
Yeah.
comes from the mind.
It's not
man,
something
you know?
that like it's like jumping out that it has to be the aliens that definitely
Yeah, exactly.
visit us.
So, what about the Mike wanted to say? You were talking about something else, like when I got onto the shadow people, you wanted to. I don't know. Remember what you mentioned?
Did I?
You
Dimension.
mentioned something else, but it wasn't aliens. I don't remember now what you mentioned.
Ghosts?
I guess it was ghosts.
No,
but
screw
it
that,
was
man.
something
I'm not
else.
even- I'm not
it
even
was
gonna
something
touch
else. It was
that, man.
Something else that you had said, and I really don't remember. I guess we'll only see when we watch back.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I don't know. To sum it all up, my stance on that is like I think it's possible, but I also think human nature is to try to rationalize things if you're a rational person, and also to try to find deeper meaning in things that may not have any deeper meaning, and to try to, I mean, the whole basis of, religions and what has now become mythologies, which were once religions, was to try to explain the unexplainable at the time.
I agree
time, yeah,
because
exactly.
human brains are trained to look for patterns.
Yo, guys, listen,
but-
man. We see what's quoi un ours en anglais là?
A bear.
We see a standing bear, we think we see a Sasquatch. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
we like to believe
You wanna
in
get
shit
into
like that,
Sasquatch? We can get into
But I'm just
Sasquatch.
saying, like, we see something and sometimes we like to believe it's something else, you know? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's true.
Yeah,
But okay,
so-
but the standing bear. Let's go to Sasquatch. Why don't
Wait,
we?
hold on.
Alright.
Before we go to the Sasquatch, it's like human brains are programmed to look for patterns. So if I do this, and I do this, and then I do this, you're gonna think it's a face winking at you, but it's just random fucking symbols.
Oh yeah, there's a name
Jesus
for that. I
Christ,
forget what
yeah,
it's called.
It's an X, a triangle, and
Yeah, me too. I could look at that like that.
We
this-
can all
this-
see. Yeah,
I see
we can
faces
see
everywhere.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
that's because we're looking for that pattern.
Yeah, exactly,
And
for sure,
that's
man.
the human brain works like that.
And it's
So
not
we
always
look-
human faces though. Like I can look at something like that and see
see
like
a
a
dog.
dragon or a
Yeah,
dog or a pig
exactly.
or
We look at
something
the
like
people
that.
look at the clouds and try to see what the things that we're
But-
looking for
but-
patterns that aren't there.
Let's go on the Sasquatch.
Let's go on the Sasquatch. Okay.
Armin.
Another Armin. Armin needs to fucking spill the
Squad.
beans. He knows. No, but seriously. Now, Sasquatch is another thing that I'm really kind of interested in, which I think is a hell of a lot more plausible than aliens, because there was in China a giant ape that existed many millennia ago. And during that time was basically when Homo sapiens were also crossing the land bridge that was formed between Siberia and Alaska and populating the western coast of North America and consequentially the rest of North America. And then they became what we call native people. At that same time, there was no reason why animals shouldn't have also crossed over. This ape was called Gigantopithecus. The only fossil record we have are the mandible and teeth. but this was an ape, which looked very much like a gorilla, but was about 10 feet tall on standing up. Okay, so at the same time, when the human population was crossing the land bridge, if this ape was anything like a gorilla or a bonobo or a chimpanzee with a certain level of intelligence, there's no reason why it shouldn't have followed over, and there's no reason why they couldn't have settled in these vast forests and completely unexplored terrain of the western
Hemisphere.
Well, no, the western part of North America, especially because it's just so vast. It's uninhabited.
So-
and I see no reason why something like Bigfoot couldn't evolve in that kind of habitat, because we just don't have that many people there looking for that. There's just no eyewitnesses.
Well, okay, I
And the
do agree
eyewitnesses
that
are like hunters
It is
and-
more plausible. I'm not saying it's not real.
Yeah.
But you are correct about the giant, the 10-foot ape. It's all very plausible that it could have crossed that land bridge. What I think though is that there's a Sasquatch or an ape of that size around, it would need to feed a lot, and you
And
would
it
see
has.
that.
And it-
Well, no, that's the thing. It's not. It's in different areas all the time, and it's small little tidbits.
But it's concentrated in certain
Yeah,
areas.
it's concentrated in
But
certain
it's
areas.
not always. It's not like every day they're finding it.
No.
You know what it is?
Because I think they're actually highly intelligent creatures. There was a something that came out recently about a bonobo, which is kind of like a chimpanzee,
closest
starting fire.
relative to
He was
us.
starting his own fire and cooking his own food.
Sure.
Listen,
Nobody-
guys,
nobody
man,
taught him to
you know,
do
like,
that.
Sasquatch and Yetis and all these things, man. Like a bit like we said before, we like to believe things, right? I mean, we have humans that are taller, they're bigger. Like in wrestling, just so people can make a reference, the Great Khali is a giant. So there's like brown bear, there's like polar bear, and in between those region, there's like polar bear, like hybrid bears, and most
Yeah.
of the sighting it's from these bears are like kind of in between.
Yeah.
And I believe that some humans are mutated, right? So I mean, every one bear out of a million will be fucking.
There's going to be a bipedal. One
Exactly.
bear out of a million is going to be
Well,
bipedal.
Like what
Very
I'm saying
possible,
is,
yeah.
Not
but
five.
you're gonna see that bear on his foot. It's gonna be 12.
Okay, but he's not going to
And then
cross.
you-
He's not going to cross the street in 2 bounds.
Yeah.
Bears walk very slowly on
Yeah,
their
but
hind
listen,
legs.
man.
That's
Like,
another thing with shaky
show
cams.
me like a real evidence of that. There again, man. When it comes
Patterson
to these
Gimlin
things-
film.
No, but what these things again, man? Like
shaky films, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
No,
was
but
just
this
going
one
to
has
say
been
that.
picked apart by science and is still.
I know it's like
It doesn't mean that
maybe,
it's-
but
it's-
like
it's a
the
creature,
things I've
though.
seen from that, man. Every time they study the hair of those Sasquatch.
Oh, yeah, but that's never real. It never comes up
back to
Sasquatch.
something
No.
that's a bear.
That's true.
In hybrid between these region, all
Actually,
like,
it does.
From what I know, from what I read, from what I know, that's what I'm saying. It's never something.
It's never
that's
something unknown.
unexplainable.
No, that's true.
But maybe there is some things I'm not aware of. But all I'm saying is, like, the Great Khali to a dog, maybe it's a giant dog. So I think that the fucking Yetis is just a fucking giant bear.
Yeah, but
I don't
the
think so.
difference is that even if it's a giant bear, it's not gonna be running
No.
on 2 feet.
It's not gonna
It
be
would
running-
run.
Brown bears, they're going to feed.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
go,
they'll
but they
walk a
don't-
little bit to
but they
see.
don't. Yeah, but
They're
they
not
don't
gonna-
run. So it's like saying that the Great Khali, yeah, he's different, but then what he does something completely different than what we do, which is not. He still walks and runs like the
I don't
way
know,
we do.
man.
I would
They
like-
have-
I would like
they
to
have
see
whole
that.
production.
You want to see the Patterson Gimlin film?
I really
There's
wanna
a good
see
episode.
the giant bear
Oh,
run.
what do you the Patterson?
Patterson Gimlin film was a
link it.
film that was
Link
the
it.
most famous. I'm sure you've seen it. It's this black thing walking through the woods, and you actually see it turn its head.
Yeah, I've seen
Oh,
it,
I've
but I
seen
didn't.
that.
I didn't. I thought it could have been a guy in a
No,
suit.
you know why?
It could have
Because
been a movie.
this has been
You were
picked.
saying
This has
something.
been picked apart by science.
The
This has been
the video is
Let
like
him
they
talk!
can't tell if a guy like on a movie set. Or
No, but
whatever
let me
came
tell
out.
you something. They've had scientists study the gait of the animal and had a 6'7" guy try to reproduce the gait of the with the motion
Yeah,
sensor, the gait,
Yeah,
the walk.
how you walk,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Okay, and the walk and how the muscles move, and they put the like in a video game, so
Right,
they put
right,
the
right,
dots
right.
and they motion sensor them, and then they compare it to that.
Right.
The fact that in this film they've picked it apart, they've like really increased the resolution, they've fixed the shakiness. When you look at this thing, the way it turns its head, the way it walks is impossible for a human to walk like that because of the way the knees are bent and the ways they're bending as it walks. As it turns its head, and as you can see, you can see the muscle and the skin move underneath the fur. There's breasts on the thing, like it's a female. Like it would be for 1960 something. very, very advanced. Like I would call that the like special effects of the 1990s,
did
even
that
like
with an
almost
alien,
CGI.
Well, I'm gonna say this, all right. With all the TV shows and movies dedicated to looking for this thing, they
But
would've
that's
found
bullshit.
something.
That's bullshit.
No, dude, you can't just call it bullshit. There are people out there with cameras trying to, like,
Yeah,
even if
and they're full of shit. You know why?
why are they full of shit?
Because the
Look,
people that see this thing are not out there looking for it because this thing is intelligent.
But
Yeah.
no, that's
The
all
people
speculation.
that end up finding them, it's usually like
by chance.
hunters. Yeah, it's always by
Oh,
chance.
guys,
If this
man,
thing
like-
was intelligent, it wouldn't just get caught by
Like,
random people there.
We can find anything we want, man. I mean, when there's a
Yes.
when there's bad
We
guys,
have
wanna
fucking
find, we find it.
satellites always
Exactly.
pulling at
But
us,
so if there's a
man.
big animal that would be like this, could be potentially dangerous. Trust me, we would find it. It would
it's
be
in the
dead right
middle of
now. It
nowhere.
would be in a
But
museum
dude,
right now, man. It
there's
would be in a
satellite
museum,
cameras.
man.
We're smarter than dogs, and I'm sure that
Satellite
a
cameras
dog
are not
could
looking for
scare us
Bigfoot.
at some point.
Scaring us is one thing. Hiding from you and not you not being able to find that dog in the house
No,
is
that
another
would be
thing.
the reverse. Us hiding from the dog, and the dog.
So you're saying this creature is more intelligent than us?
Not
No.
saying that. It might
Well,
know how to hide.
It's just very it's got a lot of intuition. It doesn't want to be found, and it's
But it-
intelligent
it's-
enough to not be found.
But then it just saunters in front of a camera.
We
with
would
these
find
people-
Well, it doesn't
guys.
saunter in front of a camera.
Oh,
You can
yeah,
barely
it's-
see it. If you look at most of it, it's
So you
like,
see, it's barely seeable, like video.
barely seeable. But
I'm
when
not-
you do see it, you can say that's not a bear,
I-
and that's not a dude in a
can't
monkey
call that
suit.
evidence.
I want to watch.
I-
this
Yeah,
thing.
we'll watch
Well,
it.
you can watch it, but you cannot call that evidence.
It's a big
for
bear,
a
man.
Sasquatch.
Then you should lower your chair. Now you look like a giant.
No, but there's okay. You can't call it evidence for a Sasquatch, but there's a hell of a lot more evidence for Sasquatch than there is for aliens because of the footprints
All I'm saying
with
is a
dermal
mutated bear,
ridges.
man.
In comparison to aliens, I agree, but in the whole form of like evidence, and this is real in the real
There's
world.
footprints
I don't think
that,
so.
Hey,
that
funny
with
enough-
dermal ridges on it.
funny
No one can
enough,
fake
man,
dermal ridges. That's
they
that's
do
what you
have
got on your
one
palms, the
Well,
lines
man,
you
that
got.
we know of.
Okay,
They have
Ivan
one.
wants to say
Yeah,
something.
they have one Yeti they have in a museum somewhere that's all
In
fucked
Tibet.
up.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, that guy was faking it.
And funny enough, funny enough, because the same guy that did tests on other hair, when they took that hair, it was it was gone.
There was a dude in
DNA
Florida
it, you know?
who like
I have no idea.
pictured
But
a
I
Yeti
mean,
in a freezer.
we have nothing concrete. All we have is shaky cam.
Look,
I mean,
and
if there was a
footprints.
fucking 15-foot bear somewhere, it would be in a museum. It would be killed. It would be
and
dead,
footprints and broken trees that form very, very
Man. I'll make
specific.
you a footprint, man. I'll
I'm
make
just
you a
gonna-
No, you
Someone
will not
put
make a
out-
footprint
I'm
with dermal
sure-
ridges and an arch.
I'm sure there's someone out there that has a reward for the capture or dead or alive of Sasquatch. And I guarantee you, especially in the United States of fucking America, people with guns are definitely gonna find that thing and kill it for that fucking money, man.
all
sure,
right.
man.
Well, guys, we gotta start wrapping it up.
It's
Do we?
true. It was a good
right.
discussion.
Yeah, but I guess for my final thoughts.
Okay.
I mean, this doesn't have to be my final words
Confessions.
or whatever, but I'll just say like Mike was saying, like you were saying about how, you know, if you don't believe in religion and you're trying to believe in aliens, or you're trying, like, we all try to believe in something, and it's kind of interesting that, like, this is something really weird, but like, I'll believe more in UFOs than I do in God. I don't believe in God, but yet, you know, why do I believe in UFOs? I don't know, but I guess it comes back to that human nature of needing to believe in something. And it's just funny, like, you just take the X-Files, you have Mulder and Scully, right? You had the believer and the non-believer. Scully always tried to rationalize everything that Mulder was seeing and believed, yet when it came to religion, Mulder did not believe a word of it, didn't believe in God. Meanwhile, Scully, the scientist, believed in God.
Very nice
Interesting.
contrast.
Yeah. But anyways, so that's my final...
It's a good final word.
Yeah, me, like, I think when it comes to aliens, for sure there's other living beings somewhere else in space. Did they come here? I don't know. Probably there's a real sighting that just getting lost in everything that we have. Sasquatch or fucking mutated bears. And that's about it for me, man. That's about it for me.
Mike?
Yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. To add to that, really,
Just your
you know,
final words.
yeah, keep your mind open.
Yeah.
You know, don't believe everything you see and you read, and you know, look into things. Try to find your own answers.
For my final confession, I think I'm going to agree with that. Think critically about anything. Don't just agree with it just because there's evidence placed in front of you. Look at where the evidence came from. Definitely investigate it yourself. See where that came from before you make a conclusion, and think about it in a realistic, scientific way on how this could ever be possible and why. As far as the interdimensional thing goes, Carl Sagan explained it very well, and I gave the same explanation.
Yeah.
It's possible. Do I believe it happens? No. But I'm just giving you that makes more sense to me than an advanced alien civilization just coming and crashing every fucking time. Sasquatch,
Once.
I think someone would have already found and killed him. Now, I do concede that there are species that have not yet been discovered, and they keep discovering new ones every day. If it's possible, I would totally eat my words and say, fuck yeah, I was wrong. I've done it before. For that, I don't really think that there's a Sasquatch out there. Just a giant bear.
Yeah.
And I guess...
Remember what? What do you want to
Well,
say?
I just wanted to say something before we close this podcast. Last week we gave a giveaway. That was a success. This week we want to give money.
Money!
So just like, share, and just write to any of us. I like and I share the podcast. I want that $50 because we will give you $50. So just fucking like and share. We'll give you $50.
Give me for $50 for
That
being
easy.
here.
Like and share, Mike. Like and share.
Like and share, bro.
Share.
Like and share,
We'll pick
bro.
a winner at random for whoever does it,
Yeah.
and we'll announce it next week.
Yeah.
And let us know your thoughts on what you think about aliens.
Everything, yeah. What do you think? Do you think I'm a piece of shit?
Yeah, how about
Please
you?
let me know.
How
yeah,
about
I'll
you
let
tell
you know.
tell these guys if you've seen anything, experienced anything?
Yeah,
that'll
let
be
us
fun.
know. We'll have you come on the podcast and discuss it, and so I can tell you you're stupid.
And that's why people don't like you.
Probably, yeah.
I like him.
So this has been Cunt Sponge. This has been Ass Taxi. We don't have a name for you, Mike.
This mic works.
This has
Mike?
been Mike, and
Works.
this has been Justin Vin, aka Vin, aka Clock Lamp, aka
Alright.
The Count, aka The Business with the Bastards Council. And I only got 2 words to say to you.
We all have those 2 words, by the way.
I've got some too. The same two.
Man, it's hot in here.
It is.
Oh my god, it's an alien.
Dude, what is that?
What is that? It's an alien Bigfoot. Look at this. What is it? Oh shit. Oh my god. Fuck, run. Fuck, run the fuck out of here.